B'ezrat Hashem, so you'll see, it's a very big thing that you guys are reading Hebrew text, that you're, Mishul, that's your own?
No.
That's your own?
No. But then somebody's, they have lots of notes.
Okay, well, okay, good. It's a good thing that you guys are getting into reading Hebrew text. Like we said, that the Gemara says that just looking at the words make you wise. That's the Sarah Sam's.
So I can read this like kind of when you're like, talking to me, but if I was to go on my own and just like try and make sense of it, it would be pretty hard.
So you should know that.
Like, is there a translation if I wanted to read more? Would that even be worth doing? Or
so exactly what you're saying is the way that we learn how to understand the Messiah. Is that when I first started learning, I could barely make out anything. I didn't know which way was up and down.
yeah.
And then what you do is you listen to it the way that your Rebbe says it, and you see how he translates the words, and you follow along, and all of a sudden you realize day after day, it's becoming more sensible. It's making more clarity of actually what's going on. And you start to receive it. And one of the greatest feelings is when you can pick up any Hebrew book, and you feel that you're Jewishly literate. That you can read it on your own. That word, when somebody told me that one time, he said, Moshe Chaim, you deserve to be Jewishly literate. And you were hit me. I said, oh my goodness. And I felt both the pain of, but right now I can't read this. And I felt a struggle, because that word illiterate touches people in a very deep way. And it's known that the Jews have always been the most literate nation in the history of humanity, because we place such an importance on scholarship and knowing how to understand the transmission and the tradition. But that there could be a generation as ours where people don't know how to read Hebrew, that there's a pain that touches the Jewish heart very deeply. I need to know how to read. I need to be Jewishly literate. Not just reading like I could read a bus stop. That's also good. But I want the tradition. I want to know how to be independently literate. I can pick up any sefer I want and I could dive into it. And that's when the real fun begins. So for you guys and many people around the world right now, we're helping to get to that place of Jewish literacy. That by over and over, and a lot of it is the consistency, and a lot of it is actually praying for it. And telling Hashem, you give this to me. By the way, you could speak a little bit strong to Hashem. Say, Hashem, this belongs to me. It's my birthright. Please, I need to be literate. I need to know how to read Hebrew. You could speak a little bit like that to Hashem. I promise. Don't feel like Hashem. I don't want to be like too forceful with you. It's known many that tzaddikim would speak very forceful to Hashem about certain issues, because if you know that that's what Hashem wants, because He revealed it to us, then you could be a little bit strong about it. Hashem, give this to me. I need to know how to read. So you have to both put in the time and the consistency, and also cry out and say, I want this. Yeah.
Should we be careful in that regard, though, to say, to at the right time, because part of being appreciative and doing mitzvahs is that there's a bit of a struggle in order to become that literacy. That's what you enjoy about the reward.
That's right. So we never ask for struggles,
right.
But when we do encounter them, we know that it's making us into bigger people. At the end of the day, though, we want to be part of the chain of transmission, and a big part of that is being able to be Jewishly literate. I can understand what the Torah is saying and what the leaders who are holding on to the tradition in every generation were teaching us. I want that. And Hashem wants you to be part of that. We're going to say something? Okay, so here we go. We're at the top where it says, V'zeh b'chinas Yetzer Tov v'Yetzer Hara. I want to just go right in. We've reviewed a bunch of times. This is the idea of the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. We're talking about the Malchus of Kedusha and the Malchus of Rishus. We spoke about Esav represents concealing the God point in everything. And Esav is the one that only believes in this galus liboy, only what your heart tells you. He tells you that what you see is what you get. That you're basically more or less just a sophisticated animal. And therefore, when the food is served, put up the elbows and just Get as many pieces of schnitzel down your system as you can. And make sure nobody else notices that you kind of pushed a guy out of line or took the last bit of the sweet chili sauce. That was our example yesterday. Because Magili. I'm an animal and I need my whatever reasons that you're going to give. It's important to know that the Sfarim point out, the Kabbalistic Sfarim point out that behema, that your animal part of you, behema, it's important. Also, seeing the letters is very important. Behema, behe, right? Ma is two words. Ba, in it, ma is what it is. Ba, in this thing, ma is what you see, is what you get. That's all there is. There's nothing else. The behema is just ba, ma. What it is what it is. That's what Esav says. I come and I see the lentils, that's what it is. Whereas the godly point inside of us is always looking, where is Hashem talking to me here? And we said if we can't see that, then we just go to the nun, and the nun represents Lifnei Shemesh Yinoin Shemai, Kabbalas Al Malchus Shemayim. We don't always understand why you do things, but we know Hashem, you have a plan, and that's being like the moon, that Hashem will shine that light and we will reflect it, we'll receive it. So Esav represents our Yetzer Hara. That just tells you, das is dog. What you see is what you get. Like the story we said yesterday on the Karliner Rebbe making the blessing. He said, I eat the apple to make the blessing. You make the blessing to eat the apple. It's too bad you have to wait those extra 2 seconds before you eat the apple. It's like a big drag. And you guess you have to do this because if you don't make the blessing, you'll feel bad or guilty, whatever. Me, I just need a blessing. I guess I'll eat an apple also. It's part of that. Okay? Ki Yetzer Tov Nikra Miskein Chacham. The Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, is called, like we said, he's a youthful. Miskein means impoverished, wise child. Because he's always new, he's always ready to grow and to see the newness and everything. Bechinas Malchus. This means the true kingship. The question that we're always asking ourselves when we're talking about Malchus is, am I trying to build my own kingdom, or am I trying to build a kingdom for God? And a lot of this gets to the question of, what are you supposed to do on Rosh Hashanah? Do you daven for you? We know that Rosh Hashanah, we have a tradition that the entire year is destined on Rosh Hashanah. You guys know that? Everything's written. It's sealed on Yom Kippur, and it goes off. Piskun Tava, Kfitlach go off on Hoshana Rabbah, and then it's fully arrives on Zos Chanukah, Purim, whatever. There's different stages in the whole thing. But Rosh Hashanah is where it's all written. But Rosh Hashanah Yikas Sevim. It's all written. Beyond some Kippur, Aseimun, and then it becomes sealed. But what are you supposed to daven for? Yourself or for God? It's a funny thing. What is Rosh Hashanah? Pop quiz. I thought we're on the other side of the year. Rabbi, we didn't get to the Rosh Hashanah stuff yet. We didn't have the Rosh Hashanah panel. What's Rosh Hashanah? Yeah, speak.
It is Yom Adin.
It's Yom Adin. When a person, so let's talk about that for a second. On Yom Adin, Yom Adin means the day of judgment, like going to court. When a person goes to court, what do? They plead for their life. And they give the judge and the jury good reasons why they should be granted another year, or granted more time. They want to exonerate themselves. And all the prosecution against them is not really relevant for this and that reason, and they make all sorts of reasons why they should be exonerated. Is that all that Rosh Hashanah is? What else is Rosh Hashanah? Yom Hara, it is the first day of, interesting, it's the day that man was created. Which is interesting that we celebrate Rosh Hashanah not on the day of the creation of the world. Even though we do call it today as the creation of the world, but it was 6 days earlier on Chaf Hei Elul. What other dimension do we have in Rosh Hashanah? Yeah, we should. Tshuva. There is tshuva, even though not the classic tshuva a person might think about. there's a custom not to mention any sins on Rosh Hashanah. Because what would that be? That would be like you're in the middle of the court case. I need another year. And by the way, yes, I stole from this person. What are you telling me these things? We were about to let you off for the year, and then you're going to tell me all the things you were doing?
They know everything.
Horrible time to mention that. It's true. Sometimes people know things, but it's not brought to the forefront. You fool. We knew that you had stuff going on, but the overarching evidence was in your favor. Now you had to come and say it? Like, bad timing to just tell it, like to mention it, to bring it to the forefront. By the way, there is one secret time that the Kabbalistic good books, I'm just going to say Sfarim HaKadoshim from now on, you know what I mean. Sfarim HaKadoshim mean the holy books. The Sfarim. There's one time the Sfarim say that you can mention all the stuff you did. You know when? While the shofar is being blown. Some say maybe only the one who's blowing the shofar should say it. Not say it. You don't even say it, but you just think it. Just think it. Your mahar hair. Okay? Remember that. Why? And then we'll get, because you don't say it, because you don't want to interrupt between the koilos, but you think it. Remind me before Rosh Hashanah, we'll get back to that. The other dimension of Rosh Hashanah that I'm looking for is that it's the day of the coronation of Hashem as the king. So on the day of the coronation of the king, do you ask for your own stuff? Or do you spend the whole day coronating him? It's a funny thing. Do I pray for myself or do I pray for God? So essentially the secret balance is you pray for yourself because everything that you're asking for, Bonai, Chaim, Zoina, children, which means continuation, health, life, parnasa, wealth, home, car, whatever, is in order to have the vessels to make you a kingdom Hashem. Why do you think I want to have good health? Why do you think that I want to have a house and money in the bank? What, just stam to buy more stuff? Just to be a consumer? No, I have money in the bank that I can spend money to bring people to my house for Shabbos and teach them about Hashem at the Shabbos Suda. I have good children that we can learn Torah together and they can pass on the tradition to the next gen, to their children. Why do you think I'm asking for these things, Hashem? It is for your kingdom. That's called not separating Malchus, meaning it's not about me, but you're still asking for things for yourself. Remember we were talking about that the king of Israel has nothing of his own? All he has is Hashem, and he has a Sefer Torah, a scroll bound to his arm, because he only does what Hashem tells him. But in the end of the day, he lives in a palace, you know. And he has a lot of money. And he has to have these things. Because he uses it all for Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people, for the proliferation of Hashem's name in the world. Get back inside. Because the true king has nothing. It only wants to make for Hashem. But that's not a steer, that's not a contradiction to actually asking for things. For you, Hashem. Ki imash mekabelas mechachma. Yetzer Hara. Let's get to the Yetzer Hara for a second. Yetzer Hara nikra melech zaken uksil. It's called an old foolish king. Bechinas malchus de sitra achra. The kingdom of the other side, the kingdom of the dark side. What does it mean, the kingdom of the dark side? It means it's a kingdom that's not about God. It's a kingdom that's just about me. I didn't think it was so dark. Well, if you're making it about you and not God, then by definition that's going to be dark. Even if you're a nice guy. You're a nice guy. And you want nice things. And you're going to do nice things. You're going to have charity and things. But not for anybody else but yourself. God is out of the picture. That's already called the other side. because it's missing the essential point that's in everything, which is closeness to God. That is the point of everything. And when Mashiach comes, he's going to pull us on course with that reality. Look at this. The Yetzer does not want to know, does not want to hear about the God in everything. In fact, he rejects that. He rejects that point, like Esav. He doesn't want to understand the verse we keep coming back to. V'chule, the vav, chaf, vav, and then chik means, and the rest of it. Just so you know, you'll see that word, that it's a shorthand many times.
Like, etc.
Etc. means etc. It means the rest of the verse. So the rest of the verse means, rather, what he wants is to bear his heart, which means whatever he wants right now. He doesn't want to actually understand what life is all about. Just what he feels like he does. Kind of sounds like most of the commercials out there nowadays. Do what you feel like, do whatever you want, it's all good. Most of the establishments of fast food have some slogan that has something to do with just the way you like it. What type of bagel are you? What type of sandwich? You pick just exactly the. Yeah, it's everything that exactly the way I want it to be, and it's little, and you become it. There's such an expression, a foodie. I became food. Like, I don't know where I end and the food begins and the food ends and I begin. It's me. It's me. It's Asav. It's Asav.
Yeah.
And these are nice people.
Yeah.
But where is the God point in it? The ksil, the pasuk, King Solomon, doesn't call him like, this is a fool. He's not looking to really get to the bottom of what's really going on. Sometimes I think about this when I used to go to New York and Toronto and different very busy places. Like, you just want to interview somebody, not in a weird way. Like, just want to say, so, how are you doing, sir? Nowadays you do that, they're like, are you crazy? Like, they run away.
You have to ask first if I can put you on my TikTok.
That's the thing. Do you mind if I put you on my TikTok?
Yeah.
Even that is like, I remember riding the train in New York and London, and it's like, nobody talked, and if I wanted to say, like, I'm more of a friendly person, said, oh, like, hi there, do you mind if I sit here? Like, fine, like, I didn't know there was another human being. Like, I sit on my train. I'm sure I'm a little bit exaggerating, but not that much. Anybody who knows, not that much. And I want to just say to them, what's the purpose of life? And sometimes I did this. Sometimes and often it would basically be what King Solomon is saying is, don't bother me with you're crazy, man. I'm going to work, leave me alone. It's more just an honest question. I just, like, and the response is, I don't want to truly understand. I want to do what I see in front of me, and that's it. Das ist das. Ba ma. What it is what it is. Don't ask me anything deeper and anything more profound. What are you, my therapist? What I see is what I know. That's called the world of Esav. And we're trying to remove that klipa, that obstruction from our consciousness. Okay? We're trying to get away from that consciousness. Okay? Our job is to give power to the holy kingdom. That's the kingdom of King David. And not the kingdom of Esav, which shuts out deeper awareness of things. To overcome the evil kingdom. Like Chazal. Chazal means the Gemara, means Chachamenu Zichron Livracha, Chazal. La'olam yargiz adam Yetzer tov al Yetzer Hara. A person always yargiz, he needs to fight and allow the good inclination to overcome the bad inclination. Yeah, there's a fight. Always, la'olam. Never let the bad inclination become your buddy and start telling you, Bo'ma. You're nothing more than a sophisticated monkey. What you see is what you get. When you ride the train, don't ask any more questions. You just get on, you get to work, you put in your time, and that's it. You watch some nice shows on the television, on Netflix. You have 0.2 children and a couple dogs, and don't ask any more questions. You just go through the motions, and that's it. What are you starting to put these questions, philosophical things? But what it is, what it is. That's it. And Rav Nachman is saying from the very beginning, the whole look to Maran. A Yid needs to look for the Seichel Shebachol Davar. Every one of us. What is the meaning behind this? And if we can't see that, then we go to the Nun of Hashem. I know you have a plan. I have a Shulchan Aruch. We have an unbroken tradition. I'm going to follow along that, and I'm going to be like the moon. And with that, I'm going to reflect the light of the sun. I'm going to see. Last line. And when you give more power to the holy kingdom, meaning the moon, by learning Torah, he's giving us a very practical point here. You want to give more power to the Yetzer Toiv and to the Malchus of Kedusha, learn Torah, but how? You have to learn Torah with strength. It's not enough to learn Torah like the New York Times. You have to mamish be learning it. The koyach. That's one of the reasons why. We'll end with this. That when you go into the biggest Ivy League school, into their main library, what does it say on the walls? And even if it doesn't say it on the walls, what does everybody know?
Quiet.
Be quiet. You're being too loud. Quiet. Shh. Someone will come over. You're in a library, sir. You're in a library, sir. Do you understand where you are? You're disrupting everybody. And by the way, I never went to any Ivy League libraries and saw people with their calculus books going like this. But you come into a Beis HaMedrash and everyone is yelling. And you think, what is going on? These guys are meshuganas. They're going crazy here. Says Reb Nair, that's the greatest proof that the Torah is alive. The one that gave us the Torah is alive. It's mamish Torah's chaim. It's alive. When we're learning the Torah, it's literally alive. The people are lebedik. It's totally alive. When you go to the calculus, there's nothing wrong with calculus per se. It's not alive. You know it. All of a sudden you start learning Torah, you get this thing like you can't stop moving, and you start you what's your FaceTime and your mom and you're like shuckling a little bit. You're like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you guys moving all the time? It's like, I don't know. I'm just like, I heard that the soul is like a candle and it's always moving when it gets excited about Torah stuff. She's like, what is going on there? And then eventually you start explaining things in a very, very nice way. Bezrat Hashem, we should be Zayim the Torah Chaim. Amen.